Learn how to handle dates in JSON by sending them as text strings and converting them back into native JavaScript date objects after parsing. Here's my boilerplate code, and in this example, we want to look at how you can parse dates or how you can handle dates in JSON by actually sending them as text string and then converting them back into native JavaScript date. So let's move on and move into the script section of our code. I actually don't have anything to add in the HTML part, so I'll move straight into the script section. And inside this script section, the first thing I want to do is I want to add a variable that is going to hold our JSON data. So let's make a variable and call it text. And inside this variable, this is where we are going to add our JSON data. So the first thing I want to add for this particular variable is name. Let's say the person's name is maybe Mary. Then separate it with comma. I also want to add their birth. And I want to add this as maybe 12,002. And then we just add a random date here, 12, 14. And finally, let me add the city. Let's say they are from California. So this is my JSON data, as you can see, and it is stored in the text variable. So with what we have now, it is now time for us to pass this particular variable and convert it into an object, because normally in JavaScript, JSON needs to first be converted into an object before you can extract properties from them. So let's go ahead and make another variable and call it objs, shorthand for object, and it is going to hold the result of what is passed from our text. Then we pass in our text this way. So having done that, then I can call this variable, which is the obj variable. Right now, my text has been converted into an object. You can see I just passed it in inside this JSON pass built-in method. And then what I want to extract is the bet from what I have inside this variable. And I can now call on the new date constructor and then pass in the object dot bet. So I'm actually using the dot notation that works with objects in JavaScript and nothing special in what I am doing. So I can go ahead and do document dot get element by ID, and our ID is demo. So the ID I'm referring to is coming from this p tag here in my HTML part. So I'm basically trying to write into the DOM of my website and simply telling it that picking this ID, then replace the content of whatever is found inside it. And as you can see, it's an empty element because there's nothing inside the p tag actually, other than the opening and closing tag. So since I'm targeting that ID, then I can use the inner.html, another property, in order to write to the DOM. So I can just do object.name. So I want to get the name of the person as well as put a comma. And now I want to get their bets, object.bet. And then you can see, let me add space. If this will work, okay. So let me put an empty space as well, and then concatenate it. So let me say this is the empty space. So then I can concatenate it. And now you can see Mary. Let me add another one plus space so that there will be space. So let me remove the first one. Yeah, comma should be with Mary. And you can see Saturday, December 14, 2002. can see time, and then you can see the region GMT, West African time, which is correct with the region I am currently in while using this built-in method. So this is the current time zone of my system currently. So what have we just done? We just extracted the name from this variable as well as the birth. So we passed it into the JSON pass built-in method in JavaScript, which helps converted it into an object. And with that object, we are then able to use it to extract property using the dot notation that works with objects, alongside with the new date constructor in order to extract the date and then convert it into a native JavaScript date object after we have passed our variable. So this is how you can use this is how you can pass JSON data in JavaScript and convert them into native JavaScript objects. Here are a few key takeaways from this lesson. Number one, native JavaScript structures like data objects. Native JavaScript structures, like date objects, functions, or regular expression cannot be stored directly in raw JSON format. So I think that gives us a reason to understand why the JSON data needs to first be passed with this built-in method so that we can extract properties, because in JavaScript, things like date object, functions, or regular expression, you can't store them directly in raw JSON format. So they need to be passed before you can extract whatever information that you need from them. Number two, dates must always be passed as string metadata, ideally using standard ISO format when traveling inside JSON. So you will notice I talked about region, the time region, as at when this was displayed on the screen. So the date object itself must always be passed as string metadata using the standard ISO. So the ISO is a format that supports how dates can be displayed in JavaScript. So when traveling inside JSON, it has to be in that format, because it has to be passed. I'm talking about PARSE before the properties of such JSON data can be read, just as we have done in this particular example. So if you look at what we have here, assuming we want to extract another property from this JSON data, we can just go ahead by passing it in. So let's say I want to add something else. I'll say is from, object.city. And now you can see this, Mary, the date of birth is from California. So I think you're able to see how easy we can actually use these to, extract property from our JSON. So by converting it into an object, the dot notation helps us to be able to extract any property that we need from our JSON data. So even if we have a couple more aside from these three, which is the name, the birth, and city. So if you have a couple more inside this JSON data, we can easily use the dot notation to extract them from our JSON data and then pass them in order to turn them into a readable text string in JavaScript.